to do is pat yourselves on the back. I think the process has worked. I think you've done a nice job interviewing, nice job as the host. You've connected well with all your candidates, and I believe that you have 3 strong ones, and you're going to have a tough choice. And I think in the end, if I can give you any advice, it's really going to be chemistry, because I think these candidates are all very similar. Each of them have a 1+ here, a 1- there. That kind of scenario is playing out in front of our own eyes, but it's all going to be about chemistry and fit. That's kind of what you're looking for. I have feedback forms from the audience, the people that saw the interviews, and I think you need to look at this feedback as that. How did they interview? Because obviously we've had 2 closed sessions about things that the audience wouldn't know anything about because it's closed. So you have information that they don't. But treat this feedback as this is what I saw, or this is what I heard, and this is how I think it will fit. So I'll hand it on one end, and you can continue to wander through it. But there's all 3 candidates are in there. So take that filter through that when you read the feedback. Because again, whose decision is this?
Ours.
Yours, and yours alone, no one else's. Okay, so take that feedback with the observation that they're looking at it from the outside. Tonight, this is what we're going to do. This is going to kind of be the process. We're going to do very similar as we did before with a different twist. First thing that we're going to do is we're going to talk about, again, the positives that we saw from our 3 candidates. That's what we did last time. So we're going to be scratching back through your notes, talking about the pluses. Then we're going to do what I call a golf vote. How many of you play golf or know how golfing is scored? Okay, I'll explain it when we get there.
Bogey.
Yeah, if you're a bogey golfer, this will make a lot of sense. The lowest score wins is where I'm headed. Okay, and then what we'll do again is hopefully we'll see some lines that are starting to form, and then we'll discuss it again one more time, and then we'll vote one more time, and hopefully we'll land where we want to land. So let's start there. Let's start with our positives from our candidates. So maybe we learned through the second interview. Okay. Through our second interview that we didn't get from the first, or just observations. What are positives of Mr. Height? Shows the community. Okay. Obviously low in quantity. Okay.
I think that he understands us as a board, I guess we would put it, that at least I know personally I really like one of his responses that parents are customers and that we as a board will eventually need information, but there's a lot of, he has a responsibility to parents, and I think that was a good link with our culture of our community. I think that would probably go well for
Knows the culture as well, knows the board.
High integrity.
High integrity.
Honest.
Honesty. Track record. You know what you're getting. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. What else?
Good answer on the data question.
So he understands how data works and the power of it, and how when you do more, you can never do enough with data, by the way. There's really no wrong answer there. The wrong answer would be to eliminate data, I guess, but all the candidates saw the power of data.
Has the potential of being long-term.
Connection. Commitment to the district, maybe? Okay.
I really liked his response to the question about administrative professional development, that he wanted his people to achieve the highest level they possibly could, and that's how you attract good people to work for you. I've had a lot of people comment over the years about, you know, why do we send our administrators to school, you know, we can't afford it and all that, but that is probably as good of explanation of why you would do that as I've ever heard. And it makes sense, it really makes sense to me.
All right. We're still looking at the other feedback that's in there too that you're seeing. Any more comments on 10? That we don't know.
I think he's implemented several good things for the district, trimesters being one that he mentioned.
So he has track record, that's kind of what you talked
Yeah,
about
that's
earlier.
great.
Yeah, that is his trump card. Correct. He has a track record, known quantity in the district. Anything else?
Certainly has the capacity to learn, and if you look back to, in his reference to when he was hired as a principal, that he hadn't been a principal, and they almost felt like they were taking a chance with him, and obviously proved that he was able to step up, and kind of like in sports, if a guy steps up and he has him to step up again, and he does, then you begin to believe that maybe he really is something special.
Right. He's a lifelong learner. Seemed to be, somebody's got to take a chance on him, and then when they did, he performed. Anything else? That's a long list. Good job. Let's move on, because we can always come back to, give me that one more time. Joanne's probably some feedback about her that you're picking up from the feedback forms or things that you saw.
Experienced.
She's current soup, so she has experience. That's her trump card. Yeah.
She was the first to bring up the administration's role as educational leaders. And, you know, that's the way it's gonna have to be in the future, and both for the education.
Okay. Other stuff on there. Have to look back at the notes. She said.
She had a good personality.
Yeah. People person, I think you mentioned that last time. You thought she was the only person that smiled basketball. Engaging. Comes across as likable, which is important for a superintendent. You have to be able to connect with the community. Other things from Joanne.
She had the best story about upsetting the
Trophies, don't go there.
Didn't dodge any questions,
That's
yeah.
the best I ever heard.
Great answers.
Still believe she can't believe she's not Scar.
Honest and great questions. Great answers. And because, that's a great observation, because sometimes candidates, myself, having interviewed a few times, will say the safe answer, which allows you to kind of accentuate maybe the strength that you would have rather than the brutal facts. So she gave us some great examples of, yeah, I goofed that up, and this is how I did fix it. So yeah, I would give her that. Good observation.
Very involved in the community.
Yep. She was a chamber member. I didn't remember her paperwork. She's a former elected official as well in Colorado.
I know the superintendent, she said that the superintendent is more issue-driven.
Say it again?
Issue-driven, more
Mm.
issue-driven, broad perspective, but issue-driven.
Obviously, her answers were natural superintendent answers, been there, done that, so she
Right.
got a bigger perspective.
I guess, if you got there down,
Yeah,
that
experience,
down,
yeah,
been there, done.
that's her, yeah, experience, that's her trump card, obviously.
Are you aware of the time commitment and scheduling issues?
Yeah, so she understands, I think that fits the experience piece, yeah.
All of our candidates had a hard time picking out their faults. You know, admitting their mistakes, and then she did say that she wouldn't do that curriculum director again if she had a choice. So that honesty is
Yeah,
maybe to a fault.
yeah, good point, good observation. Other thoughts, arts on, moving on, that's a long list too. Wendy, we just obviously is fresh in our mind, just heard her. What are some positives about her? Go get her.
Be decisive.
Here to be decisive.
Very articulate, for sure. I mean, most, her answers.
Sorry for.
You gotta work with that, what you got.
I really think she really understands teaching and learning. She's really strong in the process, almost at every level.
And that would be coming from where, taking your comment and going a little further, where do you think that,
Well, I think that's from middle school, elementary school, been in a little bit of them all, been involved with a lot of new stuff that's coming down the pipeline.
where I was headed was strictly.
Right.
That was obvious.
Right.
So some of our other candidates also answered similar to her, knew that global picture.
I think she's got really a strong financial background.
I think you could easily argue a quick study, quick learner. That's kind of what you're saying. Because obviously she hasn't done a full budget. She mentioned that or negotiated a full
But
budget
she's been involved
contract.
in, yeah.
But then in parts.
Yeah, not
Yeah.
with the contracts.
I think we could easily write that she's a quick study as well.
And being involved in a number of bond issues,
Yep.
projects and stuff.
No? Good. I agree.
Buildings and-
Yeah.
I liked her candor, I liked her, I liked the field fit.
Chandra, we'll go with that?
Go with candor.
Chandra? Okay.
I thought it was really, she shut us all up because we weren't able to do a follow-up because she was pretty thorough in answering. It was a struggle to come up with a follow-up.
You know, parts of that.
Yeah, you know, they went a little long, but they, you know, she was wanting to shine.
Right. So thorough, a word?
When we asked her about
I was about that.
philosophy.
Whoops, maybe you said-
Sorry.
What's that?
When we asked her about philosophy, she answered with philosophy. When we asked her about the process, she answered with the process. You know, and looking at my notes, in some areas I circled, okay, didn't answer philosophy or didn't answer process. She seems to be on target. When you ask a question, she listens and then
Right.
processes back the answer.
I think that comes from great listening.
What'd you say?
Being good listening.
She said, listen,
That was
probe,
a
and
joke, that was a
understand.
joke.
Yeah.
She
Huh?
said, listen, probe, and understand.
Honestly, I'm married 20 years, so I'm a terrible listener.
I've been married 51, I was.
You're a great listener.
You're a great talker.
No, I'm a great listener.
Any other thoughts on Wendy?
Servant leadership model.
I got Bill already on there, I might have misspelled it. I got too many,
I can't say that.
can't see that far. There we go. Servant leader, right here. Okay, we're ready to move on to the fun part. In golf, being that you don't want to be a high scorer in golf. In basketball, you do. You want to be LeBron James and score 40. In golf, you don't want to score 200 or that. You get too many points. And so actually, what I want you to think about now is we're going to go, rather than a line in the sand, we're going to go for middle ground. This is how we do it. You're going to rate your three and give your first person your first choice a 1, your second person a 2, your third person a 3. Easy? So you'll vote every time, but you'll just hold fingers. I'll count the fingers. When we get up to a number, I'll write it on here, and then hopefully we'll see. All right? So,
Anybody checking your math?
my math, I'm a math major, but
Okay.
I'm all calculus type stuff.
We're doing one vote or two, we get them out of two, vote three.
You only get to vote once. So what you need to do on a piece of paper is write those 3 people's names and put a 1 by the one that's your fave, put a 2 by the one that's your second, put a 3 by the one that's your third choice. Because obviously we're looking for
You
middle
need to
ground.
explain it
That's
to
fine.
Pete.
No, that's not
You're
true.
voting, you're gonna say something.
Put a number.
We're holding our fingers
Up to
up.
Put a number by this, a number by this.
Yeah, you're gonna say,
Who's
the
your
one
first,
that
second?
would be the first, then.
Yeah. And so obviously if you got 3, if you got 7 times 1, you would have, the lowest score would be a 7. It'd be like Tiger Woods, well, before his knee. That'd be a good score.
For his knee.
Yeah, he hurt his knee, he's out.
Yeah.
Now, the new Tiger Woods is high school, he just dropped. So does everybody understand where we're headed, where we're going? So you're gonna vote 3 times, you're gonna hold some fingers, I'm gonna count your fingers. And you're gonna vote 1 for your favorite, 2 for your second favorite, 3 for your third favorite. Questions?
Can we abstain?
No abstention. The math better have it. We've got Lauren over here to count for me. She did a nice job in Morgan Stanley as well. She called, she checked my math. Okay? Mr. Heiss, I need a 1, 2, or 3. Start from here. Oh, start from here. Mr. Heiss, 1, 2, or 3. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay? Joanne Spry, 1, 2, or 3. You can't do the same vote. 3, 6, 9. Skip. 12. 15. Okay? So that means, oh, I'll just do the other one. Actually, Wendy. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay. Sweet. That's work. So obviously step 1 worked. We divided the sand into parts. Now we're down to 2. So now we're going to switch gears. So we're going to switch to what I call the hard part. That is fighting for your candidate, because it looks like we're pretty even. So now I want to hear how you think these. We already agree. We're not right on my knees. Okay, so now positive or negative would be in order. For the next 5 minutes, and then we'll vote again.
Knows the district, Tim, knows the district. Well,
Yeah, so we're talking trump cards now. Knows the district. These are trump
knows the
cards.
district.
Honest, integrity.
Knows the district. Honesty. Integrity. There we go. Just that.
Knows his limitation.
All right. Okay, you're getting warmer. What's some negatives? I need some negatives.
Well, lack of overall experience.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Obviously, never been a superintendent, so experience.
Especially in elementary and high school.
Okay.
and finance.
But necessarily finance, he's part of the budget. I mean, he's been part of the whole process. Why would you say finance?
Well, because.
I would say as much as
You're talking big
mostly
finance?
his-
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
he's
his,
got as much
his
experience
comments
as
that,
her.
you know, that every time we brought up finance, he said he would trust Nick.
Work with-
You know, work with Nick, trust Nick, and I agree, you gotta do that, but in reality, you're responsible for the district's finances. The finance director is working for you to help you, but I'm not really, I didn't feel real confident that he had confidence in his understanding or grasp of the total financial picture of the district.
I think our principals have been really shielded from financial decisions. I think it's been kind of easy to them. I don't see them as made decisions specific to the school. They've been given parameters and they live with them,
Yeah.
but they were passed down the decisions. They didn't make the decisions, so.
Okay, so that would be a negative. Wasn't involved in that side?
Well, you can't hold something against that.
I don't hold it against them, Kathy. You know, we're just trying to figure this out.
The key is can you learn?
Right.
Not, there isn't one superintendent that comes into their chair and knows finance.
Right.
Yeah.
Unless they were business.
He has education, doesn't he?
Yes, he does.
Let's have,
Higher
down the
ed.
education trail a little further.
Yeah.
Higher ed, if you want to call it that.
Some of the qualities Tim has, you can't learn. I mean, some of the qualities, honesty, integrity,
Great.
Yeah, certainly leadership.
and the things that he lacks in experience, he's an intelligent person. He stepped up to the role as principal, he didn't have much experience in the
That's a great.
I think he would do the same thing.
Right.
I
He's a
think he's
learner.
empowering of his staff.
Yeah, down there that,
I think he uses their expertise. which
Yes.
is a big
John?
plus.
you have down there that he knows the districts, but we also know Tim. I mean, that
Right.
is a big, we know him. So,
Right.
All of his traits that we all love is also kind of it concerns me that it's a comfort zone for us as opposed to really maybe what we need. You know, maybe we need something,
Yeah.
somebody trained outside of our, because really Tim was trained here.
Right.
And, you know, it's been a good training, but I'm a little worried that we're so comfortable because we know him and all of that. And I think that's the risk of internal candidates, is that it feels less risky to the people making the decision, but in reality, it might be better to take a little more risk.
Well, the fact that he's gone this far, you could, obviously, the other side of the coin is, we know what we have, therefore, to get him to let him go this far, you've already assumed that he's a semi.
Right.
Good point, though. No, that is going to be your dilemma. That will be the last question we ask.
I
Great
think
point.
as an administrator, he was loyal to the leadership of the district and followed through on the expectations of the leader. I don't think we've seen exactly, I think he has some ideas of his own on things he would like to do. And I don't think we've really seen the full scope of what he's capable of doing. As a manager.
Okay.
This year, a lot of we, not a lot of I, but a lot of we, get involved in that.
Okay.
Talking about using interest-based bargaining in negotiations, which is something we've done.
That's an example. Yeah. You gotta let that all go back there. Experience. Good point. Pete, you haven't said anything?
Yeah, I did.
Which one?
I gave you the first one.
You need another one.
No, I just think he's just a really honest, good, I mean, we've listed him down there, but I think he's a good person, honest person. I'd like to maybe see him be, you know, what he'll do is get out in the community and really get to know them.
Carry the flag.
And, no, I think he's good. I think he's
Okay.
good. Excellent.
Looks like you're about ready to say something.
No, the only thing, comparatively, they're both gonna need mentors, in my mind.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think the mentoring will be different for both of them. I see Tim needing more mentoring in conflict resolution and some of it's learnable. But I see him needing mentoring in a conflict resolution mode as well as a district leadership,
System.
finance,
System mode.
big picture,
Right.
yeah.
Good observation.
And what do you see her needing mentoring?
I see her needing mentoring, first of all, and getting to know our district. That's the biggest thing. She's gonna need to come up to speed fast. And I also see her needing mentoring in the financial aspects. Exactly what she just said. Negotiation, strategies, getting her head wrapped around doing the budget, being responsible.
She didn't say that though, she just said the other thing she needed mentoring in was negotiations. She didn't say she needed help with the budget.
No, but I think she does.
I do too, but I'm just saying.
You guys, she passed 2 bond issues. She's had
Right.
a lot of experience in finance. I don't see that as a big weakness on her.
Well,
And we all have financial managers, so.
Yeah, I just see the bond issue and the budget issues, they're two different
Yeah.
things. Yeah.
Good point. Gwen? Thoughts? Tim?
Yeah, I think he's bringing some, I like the I like the team working on things, and I think we've seen that. I think you've seen it, in Blue Ribbon, we've seen it in how he's approached some of these different things. And I always listen, I know one of the things that some of us are talking about is we like to hear we answers, not I answers. I know I said that earlier, but I think that's significant. I think the idea of building safety nets for students at all levels to catch them, I think that was a good comment. He has some thoughts there. Kind of hasn't been turned loose to try.
Really haven't done any of that, though. Like I said, there's been,
The safety nets?
really haven't done that.
It's our decision, but we've received some real strong community and staff support for Tim as well.
Absolutely.
And also, I would say both. Yeah, you can have it.
Well, I think what differentiates that is Tim's a known quantity within, so we've received a lot of feedback. Wendy's not, but if you look at the feedback, we received tremendous feedback on her as well, just from the first and second interview. So that's telling just as much.
What's interesting about that observation is that, let's say you go that way and he fails, whose fault is it? It's our fault.
Yeah.
If somebody says, I voted for this, or I think this person would be, so that's a great observation. It becomes more of a we concept of, for example, when you put teachers on interview committees to hire teachers in the same grade, when they know their teacher's struggling, they're gonna run down the hall and help, because obviously I helped hire that person. They're not getting it. I need to help them. So that's a great observation. Let's switch gears. When pluses, minuses.
Good communicator.
Okay. Trump cards, what are her trump cards?
Non-district knowledge, well, other than her research.
Okay, so there were
Is
trump
that
cards.
plus, negative?
Well, it's a negative, it's
Oh.
a trump card.
Okay.
I mean,
Oh, okay. I was
Doing it-
thinking
I think it was Trump cards a good
As in
thing.
you're not gonna win that.
It's not you. It's not you.
Trump is good.
So which do you want, the positive or the
I want
negative?
both, I want negative and positive.
Her
Each
curriculum.
both. So we have actually observation from both sides, being a plus and a minus.
Curriculum's strong.
Curriculum.
Across the board curriculum, K through
Right.
12.
Big picture.
Multiple
30
districts.
lot.
Multiple districts.
What else did you say?
Yeah, multiple district experience.
Yeah, okay.
And I said this before we even started the second round, that I wanted the answers from the second round to be more them personally. She didn't, in my mind, have any original thought. It was, and that's what I was looking for. I wanted her to say, in her mind, okay, I'm the boss, this is what I would do. All of her answers revolved around what others did or what she was told to do or what, you just see what I'm saying? I wanted some individual, I wanted to know the person.
Is that our fault? Should we have answered our question?
Formation of the question.
I don't know, I told you that's what I wanted.
But you truly are collaborative, which we've said that we really want.
Right.
You
No.
you answer questions like that.
No, but I agree with you, you need to be collaborative, it's not gonna work. The person is not gonna succeed
That's
unless
what
you
I'm
are.
saying.
But you have to also have your own thoughts too,
Right.
to add to the discussion too, right? You can't just walk into a meeting with no ideas of your own.
Well, you can't be a dictator, though. You
No,
gotta-
no, I'm
you
not
gotta
looking for a
collaborate and get the-
dictator.
You can't say,
because-
I'm gonna rule this, you gotta
No,
collaborate.
that's not what I'm looking for. I was looking for someone that I see the person having to be able to, I can't even think of an example, to walk into a meeting because everybody else is walking into that meeting with their own ideas, correct? And the whole idea is to get a consensus from everybody, that everybody can live with, right? She didn't have any thoughts of her own. I didn't
Does that
hear
come
them
from a lack
from-
of experience, or maybe a combination of being a good soldier for the superintendent, or being a collaborator, maybe all three parts?
I think it's a philosophical choice. My personal opinion is that you have a choice when you walk into a meeting, whether you go in with your idea, your agenda, what you want to accomplish, or whether you go in to listen to all of the ideas that are there and help guide, lead, formulate the direction. That's what I saw in Wendy.
But you don't think that you have, I'm not saying walk into a meeting and say, this is my idea and this is what I'm gonna try and bully you into doing. But you have to be able to contribute to the subject.
And I think
In
she
order
did.
to contribute, you
I
have to
think
have your own thoughts.
in
And
all-
I'm not saying she can't do it, I'm just saying I didn't hear it.
Well,
And that's what I wanted to hear.
In all of her answers, what I heard was, I would go in with background knowledge, I would have done my research, I would have prepared, I would have gone in with information to support what I'm recommending before I would ever bring it to you as a
She did do
board.
that.
Right, and when she talked hypothetically, she typically talked about three views or two views on that particular subject. So she did have an opinion, at least what the 3 or 4 subjects might be in that. About how you would collect
She's got some good experience with, there's DJ again, but she's had some good experience with that, and I like the fact that she said that there's good programming out there and there's lousy programming out there, and you have to find out what works for what your teachers need. You gotta find out what your teachers need, and then find something that'll fill that need.
Not diverse.
Not just buy something and make everybody use it, which I think is.
Because if we're gonna be honest, we need a lot of help in our district.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
We're way
Yeah.
behind people on that.
Well, and where you could be, and I think, and Kim recognized that too, to be fair. But he doesn't have as much experience with it as Wendy has had.
No, because that wasn't his job description.
Right.
So a principal isn't
Principal,
responsible for the data of the school.
Well, no, I'm talking about.
Big picture,
curriculum.
big picture.
I mean, we have curriculum up here.
That's big picture, but then boots to the road, that's kind of asking, that's what a principal does. And my observation as an ISD superintendent in this ISD, as all the districts are the same, I think part of the problem is, my personal opinion on data is that it has no consequences yet. It's starting to have consequences if you've been following the legislature. And so now, we're starting to get interest. Well, we're in our 6th year of running our program, and just now, people are actually digging in, and they're actually using it. We've kind of been using candy to try to get them to come to it. Now they're knocking on our doors, because there's a purpose now. But the school's gonna be shut down if you don't, you're gonna lose your
This is
job.
funny.
You're
We're
gonna
finding
fund.
out though that it's no easy task. I mean,
Right.
Deb sat here and told us, look, this is hard work.
And
I
the
talked
ISD
to
recognizes
teachers and they
that.
said, this is hard work.
Yeah.
I don't have time for this.
Yeah.
I'm trying to teach
Yeah.
kids, and
Right.
that's, in my mind, almost, what the heck's going on response, I mean,
You're breaking
we're-
a culture,
we're-
the teaching culture in general, close the door, follow the book. That's been away for 100 years. So now we're getting away from that. We don't follow books anymore. When you look at our staff now are getting stuff from everywhere. They're looking at the Huskies and the Glicks to make decisions, not what page they're on. So that, it's a culture that's shifting in education. And data is gonna drive everything, because now it's gonna be tied to the now it's gonna be tied to the teacher. So you can run, but you can't hide. And so now it's become, there's a consequence, unfortunately.
Well, the two things I want to comment about that is the, you know, it takes a lot longer to ramp up. So they might be coming for your candy, but it's probably too late, right? It's gonna take a long time to go the other way. And the other thing of this educational leader that I keep bringing up, an administrator today is just like the old teacher of the past. They were trained ineffectively. Now they need to be the leaders to control the data, to share the data, to spread the data, right?
Totally agree. In fact, I'm teaching a class on the exact same thing this summer, and a lot of your administrators are gonna, hopefully, we're gonna open it up for it, and it's gonna be all about that. Using data to drive change. That's the future.
They both
Little
really
digression, sorry.
strong in that aspect of being the servant leader and of the educational inspiration to our district. And that's, I mean, if, you know, if we could feel good about anything, I think we came down to, you know, to the best.
I
That's
totally
the
agree.
best that we're looking at.
In fact, that's probably, as you've already mentioned, that's Wendy's trump card.
Yeah.
She understands the importance of data and maybe is down the data trail a little further on how to use it. I agree. That's a good point. Data, and she even mentioned that several times, that sounded like her first response. When she disagreed with the board, it was like, I'm gonna go prove you wrong through data, which is probably not my first response. I would try to give you 87 other options. And hopefully you find one you like. She said, no, data, let's go data first.
Part of what I noticed in both interviews, we had a question, and they both had collaboration and work together, and what's, you know,
Yeah.
people
I think we'll both are similar.
working together, but at some point, the decision's gonna be made, and everybody in the room may not agree.
Correct.
And I think Tim handled those questions like that, in my opinion.
Okay.
I think she may have answered that way because she seems very process oriented. A lot of the answers that she gave had to do with a process. There is a process that
That's
you
kind
go
of
through.
what Ken Reed said. I'd agree. That's one of her approaches that is maybe right in it.
I just want to say, I think, I agree with John, and I think we're pretty fortunate to be really been down to the final three, really. And so I think we can't beat ourselves up, the board up, for however ultimately this goes.
No,
So
totally agree.
This decision should be hard.
Yeah.
This should be a hard choice.
Right.
But the point he's making is that you have a win-win.
Yeah.
You do have a win-win, I would agree.
Yeah.
Doesn't lose.
You know, in looking at and we touched on this in the interview yesterday, looking at with these tough times, the morale of our district is gonna be huge. It's hugely important how it's gonna be the duty of the superintendent to maintain the morale of the troops, you know. It's gonna be like fighting a losing battle and trying to get guys to keep marching forward. It's not gonna be easy to do. I might have to tip that scale towards Tim a little bit.
Actually, I tip it the other way.
You would?
Yeah, because people are gonna expect faster. There'd be less of a grace period.
I disagree because I think Tim's been in the trenches and he's been affected by everything just the same as everybody else was in this district. And so, you know, he's suffered along
There was
with everybody else.
no learning curve from
Yeah.
Tim.
You know, I mean,
There's
so-
two ways to look at it.
Yeah, if,
Both-
you know,
both
there's
right.
ifs with Wendy,
Right.
and they're pretty much established with Tim. You know, if she can establish trust, if she can establish, you know, she mentioned a lot about trying to organize cheerleaders, and, you know, that's very important. That's gonna be very important.
Well, as you know, my reference calls verified all that, and we shared that in closed session. And she does have a history of that. She does have a strong history from people I trust that know her. So I think we can honestly say that she will bring the district together. She will be an instructional leader, just like Tim. I really do. I think it's a win-win. So it's gonna be down to fit, and maybe you're on the right trail. Immediate fit, long-term fit, chemistry fit, maybe that's what we're looking for now. What do we need now in the next 5 years? Do we need more of a push? Do we need more continuity? What do we need?
Well, the last two have been outside. And have
True.
been That's three have been outside, okay, I wasn't sure of the one, so I was only a stickler to, have not been real positive, or, well, I shouldn't say that, but, so that's what I would lean towards, maybe trying home for a change to someone that actually wants to be here. Not just, and again, you never know where someone's mind's going.
Right.
Not that I'm saying that Tim wouldn't want to look for bigger and better down the road, I'm not saying that. But if I had to pick between the two as far as who would be more apt to not do that as quick, it would be Tim because he already knows this community, he's written, likes this community, he wants his kids to grow up here, so.
Yes,
what
there
if
are,
I-
yep, go ahead.
Well,
There are
what if we-
natural opposites in outside and inside. And
Right.
naturally you have this kind of where David said, it's the concept of I have no friends, therefore I have no enemies, therefore I have a clean slate, and
Sure.
I can say things that I can get away with stuff until I find out, oh, you can't do that.
I'm not saying that outside eyes wouldn't be great, and there wouldn't be a lot of positives to that. There are some definite negatives
there's
to
some
that
positives.
too. So,
See, my win-win is that we hire Wendy and she trains Tim for 10 years and then we give Tim a shot, so.
yeah, we'll lose Tim before then.
Well, he's committed, he said he's committed here.
2 for 1 deal. You were going to say something.
Yeah, I think it comes down to what is our strategic plan, our long-range plan? What are we looking for? What do we want? You know, when you start talking about what's immediate need, what are we gonna get from one immediately versus another maybe longer term? I think we all have to look back at what are our goals and objectives and what do we want for the districts. I think we can get it from both. There's just different things, different components of it that we can get.
I think we kind of touched on that in Wendy's last question on why is Big Rapids such a proud district? You know, why have we been able to rise, you know, to such a high level, like Mike says, that we look at ourselves as a school district, you know, and we're not, but we look at ourselves like one. And it comes from recognizing passionate people and backing them. You know, that's what we need to continue to do. I think as a board, we're gonna direct where we're going with all this into the future. None of us want us to backslide an inch. And so whoever we take, we'd end up forcing them, you know, hopefully they'll take the ball and run with it, but if they don't, we're gonna be, I mean, I've been right on Tom ever since I got on the board that, you know, here's what I think we need to do and here's where we'd like to go. And I'm sure all the rest of you have been on exactly the same way, and that's the job of a good board to do that. And that's how you maintain where you're at and maybe even get a little better.
Seems like both of these were centered on process, both of these were more kind of the plan, concept versus one board member coming in. I think you'd see more of a, no, we're gonna, now you can start over and do your plan from scratch. I might predict that both of them would head down that trail.
That was what I wanted, when we went to accepting that, I thought, well, you know, aren't we gonna have another community forum? Because the number of years have gone by and it's a new community. Basically, there's new parents involved and there's new kids
I could see
involved.
where both
Really.
candidates would go down for sure. Well, obviously it'd be under the direction of the board, but it might give you that clean slate you're actually talking.
Let's vote.
Are we ready? Everybody got their 2 cents in? 3 cents? 5
No,
cents?
no.
Now we're gonna do a 1 or a 2?
Their arguments are too good.
Yes. This is, actually, let's do it this way. You're gonna raise your hand for the one that you want, and you're not gonna raise your hand for the one that you don't want. So you're gonna get 1 vote. This is gonna be the next superintendent of Big Rapids Public Schools. You only get 1 vote. 1 shot, 1 vote. Hopefully it's not 4-3 here. Don't worry about that when we get to it. All right? Because next, if we end up down that trail, then we'll get a plan B. All right? So, Mr. Heist, tell me you want to see Mr. Heist as our next Big Rapids superintendent.
Can we raise our hand for both?
No.
Like you're
surrendering.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, how about Wendy? Okay? I did too. Well, that's actually pretty, pretty,
And I'd cave real
Decisive.
easy. I'd cave real easy. Because the gun, I'm so closely on the fence here.
yeah, no, I mean, they're both strong and it's not a lose-lose. Now the question is, as a board, is this, are we prepared to move forward today? Saying we made the right choice, let's do it, let's move forward.
You said I couldn't have a third interview.
No, no third interview.
Oh, is that what?
What do you want, a motion? I make a motion, we do Tim Heiss.
So, this is what we're gonna do.
I need to call for the motion.
I'm sorry, but I'll make a motion.
I gotta get the attention down
Sorry,
this end.
my bad.
That's all right, 5-2 is great. That's obviously how it's gonna happen at our next board meeting, we'll be setting up, but this is part of the deciding part, but, the next step is obviously, contract negotiations,
Hire a new principal.
all that stuff, and I can help again with all that. I'm assuming you wanted me to get into that role. If you don't, I'm assuming what I was gonna do is start with Tom's contract and work backwards and see how far backwards I could go. So we'll start with there.
We had some
And,
discussion on that.
Yeah, we've had some discussion on that. I think I got the parameters from you. Obviously, I'll be working through Kathy and she'll communicate out on how we're going. Another plus of this type of move is you're probably at your July 1 deadline as well. So I think you can congratulate yourself, did a nice job, and I think you made the right choice. You really did, you made a good choice.
Well, I'm gonna take this opportunity to thank you for all you've done, because it did help us. And we didn't get to clap on this. We also had to clap on all
Yeah,
the
we
other
will.
stuff, but no, we really do appreciate everything that you've done.